Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. Today we are down at British, and this is Travis's place. We've got the 8235R behind us on the Brent V1100, and Dad is just making the opening round here on the first strip. So yesterday and early this morning we just finished the 40, and it turns out that the corn yield down here is actually yielding pretty good. Andrew came down and calibrated the yield monitor for corn. It was reading like 140 to 160 after he recalibrated it, since we couldn't do that in the down corn because apparently it won't calibrate properly if you're not feeding a good amount of corn through, especially with all that chaff and stuff like we've been getting at the main farm. He came down, calibrated it, and now Dad has said that the 40 yielded about 200 bushels to the acre, which for the 40, that's really good. So he's doing this up front now. We've got the strips up here, and then we have what's straight back. So we're for sure gonna finish the strips in no time. And it seems like, to me anyway, this year that hauling the corn out is just a lot easier. And we were talking about it, and we think that it's because last year the corn moisture was like 24 to 26% all season, that really affected how much corn we were hauling. You know, we were hauling more moisture in that corn. So it seems like it's going by a lot faster, I would say, just because right now the corn moisture is running in at 16, 17%. Travis said the lowest he saw so far is 14, and we're aiming for 15. At 15%, that's pretty much perfect. The stuff is coming off very clean. Everything that I've seen come out of the grain cart can go into Travis's wagon that he's hauling back up to the main farm. So as you guys know, we have a semi. Some of you might wonder why we don't use the semi to haul from British up to the main farm, and the big reason is because I am pretty sure I would get hung up with my semi because I have a commodity hopper trailer instead of an ag hopper. So it has taller sides, but more importantly, it sits lower, and the terrain trying to get up this driveway is kind of tricky. I've seen semis get up in here and spin around. So if I had an ag hopper trailer, I know I could do it, but with the commodity hopper, if I were to come up here and get hung up, there would pretty much be almost no way of getting it out of here. Just because it's kind of wonky turns and the highway's down there, so there's no way I could really back down and around that corner, especially since there's a drop off on the one side. If I really absolutely had to do it, I probably could, but it's not something that I ever really want to do. So we're gonna keep an eye on this, see how it yields. Hopefully makes up some of the losses from the main farm, since that farm only was yielding 140 to 160 at most. And even in the good stuff, it wasn't yielding that great, because some of you were wondering why the stuff that was still standing wasn't yielding very well. And my take on that is probably because the corn plants that were left standing were totally shredded. And even though the ears were there, the ears were pretty much filled out, they didn't really get to finish filling out, and any kind of detrimental effect the plant could have seen would really affect, you know, the end of that pod fill stage. So it is what it is. Hopefully our yields aren't too terrible. If this is running 200, I'm excited to see what that 24 acre field of mine that I have left is still running, because at this point in time, all of my inputs are paid off. I'm expecting to have about 4,000 bushels off the corn that I have left. 2,000 of that needs to go into the bin for feed. I'm probably only going to use 1,000 of that like last year, but I'm looking at buying more cattle to expand my own operation to make more money. Let's go around and find Dad. Travis already buzzed by me. We just moved up front here, so he needs to get filled up, and I've got a partial load on, so I can top him off if he just gets one dump from the combine. got about 26,000 pounds on, and the most that Travis can hold is 25,000, and that's if he's like mounted up. So we're heading back to the buildings. We're gonna unload and go back to Dad.
It's the dawn of a new day, and we are harvesting straight back at Travis's place. Travis has a 46 hooked on to the wagon because the 76's seat broke. So he's got that ripped out of the 76 right now. So in its place, we're using the 46, even though it's got the duals on. It's not the greatest option for doing road running, but it is what it is. See how the 46 pulls that wagon up that hill. So it's pretty steep right there. Just tugging it a little bit, but hardly knew it was back there. I just rode with Dad to see what the first lap was doing. So far, the average around the outside of the field is about 150 bushels to the acre. That's low, but when we were doing passes out in the middle of it, I was seeing 200 flash across the monitor, so hopefully the middle will bring the average up. It should. 200 is pretty good yield for down here. Travis's place has some of the poorer soils that we have, We've just struggled with getting the yield up out here, and if it's yielding 200, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a decent amount of corn that's going to bring up our total average, especially since the main farm averaged like 160 so far from what we've harvested, so it's not bad. We're on a little bit of a time crunch right now because they are calling for rain. It was raining this morning. You can actually see it just off the hood there. But everything that we're going to be getting today is going to be coming from this direction, so it doesn't look like I can see any rain right now, but the hill is kind of hiding the horizon. Up the hill he goes. I know the camera never does it justice, but that's actually a pretty steep hill right there. So this is like day number 5 that we've been working down here, but we've got, I'd say, no more than 10 acres left. And with this one more pass that he has left, our largest farm's gonna be done. So a lot of people have asked, you know, whenever I've mentioned upgrading something, I've always talked about how I would want to buy a bigger grain cart like this because this is a sponsorship through Unverfirth. And they always ask, why don't you buy a combine first? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, we have lots of things that we want to buy, but there's no really set priority in which order we should buy them or need to buy them. Right now, the grain cart's not really a big choke point, but if we were to go buy a larger combine and switch to a 12-row head, my Brent grain cart would be a pretty hard choke point anyway on the farms that we aren't hauling straight out from the field, because we have the semi there, and the semi, I mean, we got a pretty good turnaround time there. But it'd be a pretty good choke here on the farm, so it would be nice to have a larger grain cart. A brand new one of these, you're looking at 40,000+. A used one is going to be less, whereas even a used 9770 with a couple thousand hours on it is going to run you up to 100,000 or more. It really just depends on who's looking at buying what. You know, I can't always say that. From my perspective, it would make sense to buy a combine if I was looking to spend money, because I don't have the most acres out of the 3 of us as far as row crops. So for me, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to want to buy the combine. Maybe if we all went in on it together, but I'm not totally sure what their financial positions are at any given time either. So he's got just one more pass that he's got to do here, and we're going to be done. The bins are not full yet at Rockville, so what we're talking about doing is going up to Burton and hauling down to the farm with the semi just to fill the bin, because this farm, the corn here is nice and clean. It's really good looking stuff. However, we were harvesting at the main farm last night with all the down corn, and there's just so much debris, and like Travis said, the corn is like just grimy, and that's not something that we really want to put in the bin. So if we go up to Burton, that's one of Mom and Dad's farms that didn't get hit by the derecho very bad, at least doesn't look like it from what we've seen, and that corn I think would go pretty good in the bin. We don't want to dump a bunch of nasty stuff right on top of all that good corn, because we might have heating issues, feeding out issues, things like that. Feels good just to have our first big farm done. Got this one out of the way. Travis went ahead and let the cows out into the 40 out there with little black specks out on the horizon. 3.5 rings down. Now we've completely finished harvesting at British, and I'm having a look at the yield monitor here. So what we harvested did not fill the bins at the main farm. So what we're looking at doing now, instead of harvesting the corn that's still standing here at Rockville or over at my place, because all of the corn around here has been damaged, and we don't want to put that into the bin because we've harvested stuff off of it and there's a lot of chaff in it. The corn is very grimy, and that's not something that we want to put in on top of good corn that we had harvested down at British. So we're talking about transferring corn from the Sioux bin over to the Sukup, because the Sioux bin is our drying bin and that corn's dry, and then filling up the remainder of the Sioux bin and then stirring that in. So what we're looking at doing is going up to Burton and hauling corn down from Burton down to the main farm here. But we're probably going to have to do that with the tractor, because we tried it with the semi and the sweep auger won't fit underneath. So we're probably going to have to haul down from Burton to try to finish filling the bins here. Maybe I'll haul down to Dubuque with the truck while Travis is hauling with the tractor back. I mean, that would be a good way to keep Dad moving at least. And I'm sure we'd be able to finish that farm pretty quick. That one's about 90 acres. So we just finished British, and we're having a look here to see what the farm did. So the first screen that I've got up now is the 40, and you can see it there. Now over on the right, we've got the 5368 with Accomplish, and you can see how that performed. Now we come over here to our productivity screen, and you can see over the field, in total it's 45 acres. We always call it the 40, but there it says it's 45. And the average yield in the 40 was 152.8. Really not that great. Really wish that we'd be seeing at least 180. I would attribute that to the dry August that we had, as well as damage from the derecho. There was still strong wind that went through there. There was a lot of corn that was down. I think it's just a multitude of factors down there, because looking at the corn, you couldn't really tell that it was down, but we always knew that that farm never really performed. But the standing corn down at British is yielding about as good as the down corn up at Rockville. So that would be the 40 that we have there. Now if I go back to another screen and I choose a new field, we've got British, straight back. So this is our field that is straight back at Travis's place. You can see when we harvested it there. Getting interesting colors there. So it looks like straight back yielded pretty much the same as the 40 did. At least in the 5368. Let's go to our productivity screen. Yeah, straight back yielded a little bit higher at 160 bushels to the acre. So as far as payments go, I'm not totally sure where we stand. As many of you know, the corn market has been bouncing back. I think it's finally starting to wake up and realize that farmers weren't bluffing about all the damage out in their fields. But will the price bounce back to a high enough point to where it's really going to really going to benefit us all that much? Maybe for the corn that we've been storing in the bin, we can wait it out and see what the price rebounds to. But overall, I mean, we still have a lot of corn that needs to go down that can't wait. I don't think that the price is going to bounce back well enough for the corn that we have to take down and sell to make us be in a good standing. So unfortunately, this is one of the worst yields that we've seen. Hopefully we continue to see some improvements. I know that if my 24 acre field yields like that, I'm not going to be happy. But you have your good years and you have your bad years. Looks like this year was a bad year. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Just wanted to walk you guys through how the yield did down at British. I haven't been in the combine all that much. I'm going to try to harvest that of mine, that 24 acre field that I have. But most of the time I'm in the truck or running the grain cart. If Dad's here, he's going to want to harvest his own crops, which I totally get. And I want to harvest my own stuff. But unfortunately, out of the three of us, I'm the only one that can run the semi, as of now at least. So I got to be stuck in the semi or the grain cart. Well, Travis, if we're hauling back here, is running the
76 of the 46 to bring stuff up to the bins. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out all of our other videos. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all how farms work. And be sure to stay tuned as we finish harvesting corn for the year of 2020. I'll see you next time, guys.